guidelines of the USDOE. So just knowing that this definition is coming directly from them. The 21st Century Program is a federal grant. So it has been issued from the U.S. Department of Education. The creation of the program or the community learning centers, which provide academic enrichment to assist at-risk students attending social economically challenged or lower performing schools to meet state and local standards in core subject areas. The purpose of the grant is also to ensure that high quality, expanding learning opportunities that occur outside of regular school hours for children in a safe and sound educational environment. The program can be offered before school, after school, weekends, summer, and holiday breaks, but definitely not during the regular school hours of the day. Services must be focused on academic enrichment, family involvement in science, technology, engineering, and math, which is our STEM, and service learning. So the purpose of the grant also is to provide opportunities for academic enrichment, including the provision of tutorial services to help students, particularly students in high poverty areas and those who attend low performing schools, to meet challenging state and local academic standards. It is also to offer students a broad array of services, programs, and activities designed to reinforce and complement participating students' regular school day academic program. And you will find some of these examples listed in our RFA. It is also to offer families of students served by the community learning centers opportunities for personal development in literacy and educational enhancement. The community learning center should develop and nurture the potential for parents and families to assist in instructing their children while supporting their children's academic success and social development. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the applicant when they are applying for the grant. Their target population should primarily serve students who attend schools with a high concentration of impoverished students, as defined by a poverty percentage of 40% or greater, and is determined by school enrollment or participating attendance area. And these numbers are within the platform of 2.0 to ensure that that is who they are targeting. Now, entities that are going to serve at-risk students, these are determined by academic, social, or behavior needs addressing pre-kindergarten to 12th grade. And these students attend schools that have a high concentration of students from low-income families. Who's eligible? Okay, so these are the qualifications to allow applicants to apply for the grant. It's for any public or private organization. Um, they can apply. It is eligible entity is defined as an LEA, which we know is, if you don't know, it's a local educational agency. It could be a community-based organization. It could be an Indian tribe or tribal organization, another public or private entity, or a, a consortium of two or more agencies, organizations, or entities. It can be an educational service agency, which is a regional public multi-service agency authorized by state law to develop, manage, and provide services or programs to LEAs. Also, charter schools are eligible to apply, and private as are eligible to apply, and private as applied to an agency, organization, or institution means that is not under federal or public supervision or control. So accordingly, any entity that is not under federal or public supervision or control is a private entity. So for the purposes of 21st century's eligibility, these also include faith-based or for-profit private entities as well. Now, according to ESSA, this grant is under the Title IV Part B section. Um, each application has an expected standard of collaboration and coordination between any entity, such as the CBO, FBO, the nonprofit agency, public or private entity, and the local LEA. So an exception to this rule is only permissible by statute if the LEA can demonstrate it is unable to partner with a community-based organization within reasonable geographic proximity and of sufficient quality to meet the requirements of this component. So here's some measures of effectiveness that are used to measure the application. So each applicant receiving an award must use the funding to conduct and implement a broad array of activities that advance student achievement. Therefore, all 21st century programs, activities must be based on the following measures of effectiveness as outlined in the next few slides. Number one, it is measured by needs assessment. So when we're talking about measure one with needs assessment, the applicant must conduct a needs assessment based on a thorough analysis of objective data from the population intended to be served in the school and community regarding the need for out-of-school programming and activities. If awarded funding, grantees must develop systems to ensure that ongoing assessment of programmatic school and community needs. Measure two, goals and measurable objectives. The applicant must develop specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound, which is our SMART goals and objectives that directly related to identified needs, improve regular school day attendance and behavior, and implement academic enrichment to enhance student educational achievement. The goals and objectives must align with the performance management task that is outlined in the GEPRA. Measurement 3, which is evidence-based research. Applicants must demonstrate the use of evidence-based research, which demonstrates evidence that the program, strategies, or activities will help students meet the state and local academic achievement standards and accomplish the projected goals and objectives of the project. Measure 4, periodic evaluation. Once awarding funding, grantees must ensure that the periodic evaluation of the program's achievement toward its stated goals and objectives and ongoing collaboration with their partners, local LEA, advisory council, and other stakeholders. The result of each evaluation must then be refined, improved, and strengthen the program and to refine the performance measures. Evidence of utilizing the measures of effectiveness must be available to federal, state, or local representatives upon request. The standard is also applicable to public community requests. So applications must demonstrate that the eligible entity will use best practices, including evidence-based practices, to provide educational and related activities that will complement and enhance academic performance, achievement, attendance, behavior, nutrition, physical and mental wellness, post-secondary and workforce preparation, and positive youth development of the students. There are 20 components to this application process that the applicant must complete. Component 1 deals with the needs assessment that we've just talked about, but there's a checklist. Component 2 is the needs assessment with a narrative. Component 3 deals with the school or schools and school district that will be applied for. Component 4 deals with the goals, objectives, and strategies. Component 5 is challenging state academic standards. Component 6, nutrition and health. Component 7, parent and family engagement. Component 8 is dealing with service learning. Component 9, student safety. 10, transportation. 11, operations. 12, staffing qualifications and professional development. 13, program management and indirect costs. 14, integration into schools continuous improvement plan, which is also identified as the CIP. Component 15, partnership commitment. Component 16, program communication. Component 17, budget, allocation of resources. 18, sustainability. 19, program evaluation. and component 20 if the applicant desires to have a summer program. Activities and goals. So we want to talk a little bit about how this should look during the after school hours to include school breaks, summer periods, and these are just not these are just some examples that we wanted to share. So educational activities and academic enrichment learning programs to assist students in improving their academic achievement. You should find activities and goals that are addressing mathematics and science education activities that are interrelated with the STEM engagement. And then you should also find activities and goals dealing with arts and music education activities. You should also find activities and goals geared towards financial literacy and entrepreneurial education programs. You should also find activities and goals related to tutoring services, including those provided by senior citizen volunteers and mentoring programs. We should also see programs that provide after-school activities that emphasize language skills and academic achievement for English learners and migrant students. We should also see information regarding physical fitness, recreational activities, health, and wellness programs. Telecommunications and technology education programs. We should hear something about how the library hours has been expanded. Also, programs that promote parental involvement and family literacy. Programs that assist students who have been truant, suspended, or expelled so you can allow the students or they can allow the students to improve their academic achievement. We should also hear things that are dealing with drug and violence prevention programs, counseling programs, and character ed programs, as well as service learning. We also want to talk about some examples of some goals that we should see that the applicant should be writing, and these are just a few. So to improve the academic performance of at-risk students, such as at ABC School. To increase the academic achievement of the program's regularly attending students on an annual basis. To increase the capacity of family members to support the academic success of at-risk students at, for example, ABC School, and to increase the education and skill level of parents of program participants. Here is an example of a goal and an objective that we would like to see from our applicants. Goal, to improve the academic performance of regularly attending at-risk student participants in the ABC School 21st Centuries program. The objective could sound something like this. By May of 2024, 80% of the regularly attending program participants will demonstrate grade appropriate proficiency in reading. Competitive priority. For those of you who are familiar with the 21st Century Grant and not, this is our areas or our priority points where applicants are able to earn additional points if they write to these different priorities. So priority one is dealing with joint or co-applicant, basically meaning that they're going to submit an application that's going to clearly demonstrate that they're going to collaborate with two entities. So the collaboration of the GAPRA measures between the LEA and a community organization. And it is outlined in the application that it has some detailed information regarding partnership management, programmatic collaboration, and fiscal collaboration and cooperation. And in addition, the applicant will also be able to demonstrate their strength and quality of the proposed collaboration through the entire grant. Both the co-applicant and the partner relationship should include material that's in-kind contributions to the program, and it should be clearly demonstrated throughout the content of the application. We do have some who may choose to earn additional points through priority two, which is called the summer program. So if applicants propose to operate a summer program, they have to show that they're going to offer the program with at least 75 hours during the summer geared towards summer program, and it must align with the academic year's goals and be specific to all their budgetary allocations. Then we have priority 3. If a applicant decides to want to earn additional points by applying for the priority 3 part, this is dealing with middle and high school. So these applicants have to show that they are going to operate a program that's going to specifically focus on middle and high school students, and they're going to serve middle and high school students in grades 6 through 12. Now, this is for schools who are a unit school, say for instance that says a K-12 school. So that means they're only going to serve grades 6 through 12 in order to serve or earn these points for priority 3 points. Then we have priority 4 points. There are some counties within the state of Alabama that have not had a 21st century program. And so if they are going to be brand new, they can earn points by simply coming to the 21st century or applying for the 21st century grant. And those counties are listed within the RFA, of cohort 17 on page 14. And then there's some who will be identified as in school improvement, and that will be identified as priority 5. And the terminology that we utilize here in the state of Alabama is comprehensive support and improvement, CSI, TSI, which is targeted support and improvement, or ATSI, which is additional targeted support and improvement. So if any of those schools have been identified of any of those areas, then they can apply for additional points using priority 5. Annette?
Okay, thank you for covering that, Elisa. I greatly appreciate it. Hopefully you've all had time to read the RFA that was included in your email, and she went over quite a few of the areas that you will score. So what I want to talk to you about now is your actual role. So the peer reviewer, thank you for being one. First and foremost, you know you have your conflict of interest, but next is not to discuss the grant applications with anyone or your comments or scores. We want to keep it 100% confidential till we get to the very end of the process. Important dates, hopefully you have these on your calendar. It's very important that we adhere to these. Obviously, we have the Zoom today. We anticipate the applications will close on September 15th, which is this Friday at 11:59 p.m. The internet is working correctly. Then your actual dates that you will have the applications in the software program for you to review will be September 18th through October 6th. You will not receive a hard copy, an emailed copy, anything like that. It will all go through the platform. You will need to submit your scores by October 6th by 5 p.m. in that Central Standard Time. Then we have the facilitated review period. Once those come back to us, we see there's a 20% deviation in scores, we will call the team together and say, okay, let's talk about it. Now, in that, we won't ask you to change your scores. We just want to try to understand why there's such a big variation. And if you decide to change your scores, then October 13th is the last day you could submit those. So your guidelines and requirements, it's very clear to say that we don't want to do anything but follow the actual guidelines and the actual rubric that comes with it and make sure each deliverable that you have committed to is adhered to in this process. Again, you've had your conflict of interest and the confidentiality are the two main areas. Expectations. Obviously, if you look on the call, we have 43 people, I believe, right now from all over the nation. Thank you for being here. Some of you are in state associations and some of you have other expertise, whether it's education or in the community that you can bring to this. So you're going to draw upon those expertise based around the RFA and the things that Alicia has covered and will cover here. Make sure you evaluate each application thoroughly. I know when I read for other states, I might read them 4 or 5 times before I even consider actually looking at the rubric and trying to figure out where to go from there. Be mindful in your scores and comments. Just remember those can be public and they go with the funding. So just be thorough with it. Take your time. And if you have any questions throughout the process, please let us know. Your critical steps, the clear understanding again of the RFA and the scoring steps, reading the applications, following all the instructions, review and considering the applications. And when you review and consider applications, again, you're not comparing A to B. You're looking at A, you're looking at the rubric, and you're evaluating what we've asked them to do in the RFA. You will provide a numerical score for each one of the areas within the rubric. You're required to comment and make sure you have strengths and weaknesses in each area. I will say this is the area that I continue to grow in. I'm a secondary person, so it's either you did it or you didn't. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that as far as comments and have some samples for you. But it's very important that you have your grammar is correct, your complete sentences and things like that, mainly because they will be public if they ask for them. So if you have when you have comments, make sure your comments make your score match your score. If you give a 5, say that's perfect, then your comment should explain that and match the 5. Just be careful not to get too ahead of yourself where you give them a 5 and then your comment says, well, they halfway met the goal, but then the highest score was 5. You cannot give partial credit, so make sure you're paying attention to that. That's different from some states. And if you have any question with the scoring, to me, it's clear. The rubric is very concise. Just let us know. But it is important that you provide comments with each one. And we're going to show you some samples of some good comments and some areas to grow in. So high quality comments. How many of you like, I know it's good, but I'm not quite sure what to write. And I don't want to just rewrite what they asked me for in the rubric. So make sure they're neutral, they're objective, they're unbiased. You know, stay away from the words like I believe or I think, things like that. That they're analytical comments. They're written in complete sentences. They're actually professional. You're talking to them and they can understand them. One thing that is different about this grant, we can get too far over into the education world and terminology. Remember, this is a community grant, so we will have faith-based CBOs, all kinds of people out there. So we want to make sure the comments are professional, but also that they can understand those. Low quality comments. And I, like I said, I am guilty of this, such as writing, yes, met standard, no, didn't meet standard. So actually try to work on this. We're going to provide you with some and in just a little bit, but work on that and then make sure you don't repeat the same thing in each one of the comments, but every scoring should have a comment that comes with it and be related to that area. The comments, make sure again, they're not misspelled, any grammar errors or anything like that, and that you're not bringing in any judgment or bias as a peer reviewer. Examples. So Alicia talked about the needs assessment. So this is what we call an acceptable comment, a strength. If you want to take a minute and look at that and see how that is. We pulled this one from a homeless application. We didn't want to relate it straight to 21st century, but we want you to understand, look at how they, if you're reading that, you know exactly why they scored what they scored. And then you look at unacceptable. It's just short and sweet. And again, I'm as guilty as anybody when I first started in this process of just, no, they didn't meet standard. I didn't understand what they said. But here's a good example of a weak or unacceptable comment that you can turn into a strength or with the above comment. So now I'm going to move into the budget. You will review the budget to make sure it matches the narrative. These are the following areas within our budget that are allowable. They cannot go over a 30% administration and indirect cost. And that'll be clear again within the application within our system. The transportation allowances, some people have this in their states and some people don't. We do, it is 25%, and professional development is 5%. And when we say that they're budgeting that, they have to go through that and say, I'm going to attend Boost conference, or I'm going to attend the state conference, or whatever it may be. It needs to match the narrative within the RFA. Here's some examples of acceptable and unacceptable comments as far as relates to the budget. Again, we did put these related to the 21st century because I do think some people struggle in this area when scoring a rubric or scoring an application. So just make sure you're thorough in your comments, especially with the strengths. You want to praise them. You want to let them know what they did. And then when you look at the weakness, you're not quite clear. Okay, I didn't do it, but what's not clear here? As you can see, the opportunities for staff is unclear. What would they need to done? They would have said, I'm going to attend these conferences on these dates. My plans are to do X. They need to be very descriptive in that area. So in the budget, some allowable expenditures. I'm not going to go through all these, but I think this is a helpful tool when you're with your rubric and you're doing your scoring against the application. You know, sometimes you think, well, is that allowable or not allowable? And without going and reading the complete USDOE, all the regulations that come with it, we've tried to break it down here so to make you think through it. Some areas that when I first came on 21st century, I didn't think rent's allowable. Yes, it's allowable. Parent engagement activity cost is allowable, but food is not. So field trips are allowable. So just some things right here to help you kind of think about, well, is that allowable or is that not allowable without having to really go and research the law. Some examples of unallowable expenditures. Capital improvements, which everybody out there has the ESSA or the ARP money, and they're out there, they're building, they're doing a lot with their AC units, but that is not something that they can put within a 21st century application. They also cannot say, I'm going to decorate my office or our area, I'm going to get new carpet and all those kind of things. They cannot do that. Some other areas that are big that we go back and forth with, as we all know, no entertainment, refreshments, or snacks. Now, I will say if they put within their application that they're going to have culinary class or a garden, that's allowable. Now they can't turn around and sell those as far as tomatoes or whatever it may be. But as far as having a parent and family engagement event, they can't say, well, I'm gonna buy pizza for everybody. Obviously, anything pre-award costs, if they write in their application that they're going to pay Josh $1,000 for writing this grant for us, that is not allowable. So the proper use of funds, really, really important to pay close attention to this. Personnel and personnel benefits. So if they're going to pay someone $25 or $75 an hour, make sure we're following the money, that they also are having benefits for that. Staff development, activity enrichments, classroom and materials. We do not have a technology percent anymore, meaning they can spend, you know, as long as it aligns with everything, what they need to within the appropriate funding. So technology is a big area that you're going to see. Just make sure that that's reasonable and it's necessary and it aligns with everything within the RFA. They cannot pay for subcontractors or consultants, someone to come in. Now, this is a little bit different. Later on, you will see your MOUs. That's different, but you can't pay someone to come in and basically run your program for you. Some improper use of funds, pre-award costs that I just talked about, paying a grant writer, entertainment, snacks, anything like that. They cannot purchase food. Purchase of facilities or vehicles. We have a lot of CBOs that you'll see within their application. They'll want to purchase a van or something like that in past competition. So pay close attention to that. They cannot do that. Or you have others that may say, hey, I've got this facility, and if I just had an air conditioner or had new lights, you know, something like that that's capital improvement, then that would be great, and I want to use this money to do that. We do not allow that. That is improper use of funds. We provide the link here if you want to really deep dive on everything on the uses of funds. You can go here to the USDOE and Edgar and read the law. So let's talk about required documents. We do require quite a few documents, and you will see that. You are not going to check all those documents. We are going to check those documents before we release them to you, but there are 2 through 9. They are required to submit those. What we want you to cross-check with us is to make sure when you click on the related document that everything is signed, We don't want electronic signatures or signatures I signed for Alicia. All documents must be current. In the past, there have been times when someone has submitted something from 2018. They have to be current documents. Other documents listed on page 40 in section 3, that's real important for you to pay attention to because they're going to be located in additional documents. Again, this isn't an area that's going to overwhelm you because we are going to check these before we release them out to you and assign them to you. Alicia?
So the additional documents that Annette was referencing to, when you get to the platform, and we'll look at it a little bit later, but there'll be a section that'll say additional documents. It's not a requirement, but whomever is applying, it will be applicable to them. So they will need to make the determination as to whether or not they need to send in information such as a copy of the notarized business license, their 501c3 paperwork, anything dealing with copies of the organizational chart that they have, as well as that they have a liability insurance. And so most of the time, this is dealing with those who are not an LEA. These are non-LEAs, such as your faith-based organizations or your community-based organizations or any private entity. But if it's outside of an LEA, then this information is required. In addition, this is something that will be new for them, but an organizational flow chart of how GEPR data will be collected will be needed to be uploaded. Safety documentation, such as a building and fire inspection, ADA compliancy, and then an unqualified opinion of the company's annual fiscal statement audits that has to be uploaded. And the key here has to be within the last 2 years. Sometimes in the past, we've seen paperwork that's reflective of much longer than that. So we want to pay attention to that. And then a conflict of interest form is supposed to be uploaded, as well as an advisory council list. There's also public documentation on the application, meaning that they have made the public aware that that they have applied for this particular grant and how they plan on implementing the program, the types of meetings that they're going to have. They also should have a proof of their ADA compliance, their RFA checklist, meaning it's a checklist that they have created on their own to show how they're going to they made sure that they hit all the different components within the application. It's not a particular form, but one that should be reflective of how they made sure they stayed within the timeline and the guides, and also the UEI, the unique entity ID number. So a few of these things we haven't had them to upload in the past, but like we said, it's additional documents. Some of it is necessary and some is not, but this is what will be up under additional documents. As we stated, or Annette has stated before, we just want to remind you that we are asking you not to discuss any part of the applications, to include your comments, your scoring process of what you've given to any particular applicant. This is pertaining to before the grant comes out, during or after you have done your review. And just remember that this is confidential, and we want to make sure that we do not have any confidential or conflicts. So please adhere to these guidelines. Dr. Pines?
Alicia, tell Erica she needs to allow me to, oh, okay, I'm sorry. I can unmute now. Sorry, you all. I couldn't unmute for a moment. But hello, everyone. That's okay. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go through the platform that you will use in order to review your applications. First of all, when you get ready to log in, you will use your email address and your password to log in, and it's eGap 2.0, and you can search eGap 2.0 just on any platform or a search engine. So just go in and type in eGap 2.0, and then it will come up, and then you just click on that link and it'll take you to the sign in. So here's where you will add your email address and then your password. Once you've done that, once you get to that screen, the box up at the top of the screen or on the top right-hand side, that is the information that you will see on the left side of your screen. You'll have report, you have inbox, and then you see reader review. You're going to click on the reader review, and then once you click on that reader review, the box down below, although this is from a test site, the box below is the box that you will see. Only the grants that have been assigned to the reader will show up. So if you have whatever the applications or the grants that have been assigned to you, you will be able to see them on this particular screen. So the first thing you're going to do once you get here is you need to, first of all, check to make sure that you're in fiscal year 2024. And if you notice down in the middle of that or at the bottom of the box, you'll see you'll have a choice between 23 and 24. So you'll just make sure here's where you choose 2024 so that you will pull up the accurate grants that you will be reading. After you've done that, on that first screen, the first thing that you need to look at also is add your conflict of interest. If you know that there is a conflict or a site that you will have a conflict of interest in, so you will go in and you will click on that site, and then you add that district as a conflict of interest, and it will remove you as a reader if you are assigned to that particular organization's application, and it prevents you from further assignment for the grant for that organization. So it's very important that you, first of all, complete that conflict of interest form. And once you've done that, then you can move forward to your other applications. Okay, so it's very important on this particular one, just so that you know, this is from a previous or from our previous year, because you have not been assigned any grants as of yet. I was unable to go in and pull up a current one. So anywhere you see the year 2023, just overlook that and make sure that when you click on that 2024 shows up. For instance, if you look under this, it says assignment overview. On this particular page, you see it says 2023, 21st century. The thing that you need to make sure that you're checking at the beginning of each application is that it says 2024 and not 2023. And then once you start to move down, you'll see in your application details, it'll tell you the grant year, it'll tell you the applicant, and it'll also tell you the parent organization or the LEA the LEA or the CBO that particular site is assigned to. As you complete that or just review that, go down right below. If you selected that you had a conflict of interest with any of the sites, then you'll see right below that where it tells you that you have a conflict of interest with Limestone. So it says click here if you to add a conflict of interest if you didn't do it at the very beginning. All right, so now as you move down to that lower section, it says application download related documents. Remember again that this is from 23. The forms that you will be reviewing are those forms that are forms numbers 2 through 9. 2 through 9, you will not have the 2 through 13. So it's just 2 through 9. And then your application rubrics, as you're moving through the application, it will track your progress in scoring the application. So you will know how far along you have gone in the application as you move through each one of these sections. All right, so one of the, oh, I'm sorry. Okay. One other thing, you can create and you can do a print request and create a PDF file so that if you choose to print this document so that you can read it, but um, I think it's easier to just leave it in eGap, but that's your choice. If you prefer paper in your hand to read through it, you can do that as well. But this is where the application downloads, that's where you would click if you want to create a PDF and print those particular documents. Okay, next slide. All right, so adding the conflict of interest, okay, viewing the application. All right, so when we go in to view the application, the first thing you're going to do is click on the application download. Like I said, that will pull up a PDF and then you can click print on the screen. And once you click print, you'll get a print request screen. Once the system, it'll display that it's generating your documents. It will normally take about 30 seconds, but if it does not create your document within 30 seconds, then it will send you an email when that document has been generated. Should you receive an email when the print job is finished, then you just go back in and you go to ALSDE resources. And that's on that first page. You'll go to ALSDE resources and you can finish that print request even if you did not receive the email. And this will remain there for about 5 days. And then you can complete or click on the print request name to open the PDF and you can print the document or you can save it to your computer from there. All right, so opening the related documents. If you notice on the screen, I'm sorry, the screenshot, you'll see let's look at Form 2. It says Form 2 cover page. And then on the right-hand side, you'll see the Form 2 cover page with an underline. That's actually a link. You simply click on that link to the right, and then your document will open up in the appropriate application. It will either be Word, Excel, or Adobe Acrobat. And from here, the document can be saved, or again, it can be printed from the application. All right, so let's talk about scoring your applications. You will click on the application rubric link that is linked to the access in the scoring rubric. So your score in the rubrics the scoring rubric varies by application. So possible scores for each option is displayed. So if you notice, it's kind of blurry, but if you notice that top red one, it says the score will appear here. It says your total standard criterion score for this particular application is like 173. So you'll see where your score will appear here. The score is a running total, and if the rubric contains competitive priority points, they are only applied if the application meets the minimum score. So for instance, if the minimum score has to be at least 191, if your application does not meet that 191 and they have some competitive priority points, then that application does not make the cut because they did not meet the minimum score that was needed in order to have those competitive priority points. It does not push them over. It's not like, you get extra credit in school. That's not what they're used for. All right, so here, one other thing that you need to be mindful of, up in the top right-hand corner, your session, it times out after 60 minutes. So after 60 minutes, if you're wanting to reset your clock without having to go in and out or logging in and out of your application, simply go to another spot within the application and then go back to where you were and your clock starts over. All right, so submitting. You will have to click the Save button to save any work that you complete within the application. And then it says click on the Assignment Overview to return to the Overview page. And you see that after it says Reader, and this will be at the very top of your screen. It says Reader Review, and then it says Assignment Overview. So if you need to go back, you just simply click right there and it'll take you back to the Overview page. But any work that you do, always remember to save it before you move on to the next page. Your completion percentage shows beside the application rubric link. So if you look in the second screenshot, down at the very bottom, it's highlighted in yellow. It says application rubric. So on this one, it is 100% complete. And so once you've done all of that, you go to the very bottom of the page for the application review, and you click on Submit Review. All right, so now once we've submitted it, we need to confirm. It says that, and this will pop up at the very top of your screen. It says that you're about to submit this application review. Once submitted, you will not be able to make any additional changes to the review. Please be sure that this is your intention. So if you're not completely sure, just say return, and then you can go back into the application and you can correct anything that you need to correct. But once you click on confirm, you will be unable to go back into the application. All right, Erica.
Gotcha. Hey, everybody. So, just like the email that Annette sent and what we sent out initially, the compensation will be $150 per application, and it'll be $75 to cover your time spent training and participating in whatever review process that may happen. And this is just going to be, so if you've reviewed last year, then you already are in the system. You already have a 90 number, a vendor number for Auburn. But we'd like for you to log back into the system just to make sure that all of your account information and everything is still correct. So these are steps to create an account if you have not already done so within the past year. If you've done so previously before a year, then that's not the same thing. Last year and beyond. So you will go to the short link /supplier, and I'll send you all of these links in the PowerPoint by tomorrow. You'll go to this website, you'll enter your email address. If you read last year, then you'll skip this, you'll create an account. You represent yourself, continue with the registration. And click the I am a representative of a person providing goods and services, continue. And then click continue with registration. And this is just some screenshots throughout the screen because it's a long little process. But at this point, when you get to the complete registration now and then submit, it will send you an email. And so you'll actually have to, it's going to send you an email from supplierhelp@auburn.edu, and you'll need to go to that email and click on the link in the email to complete the registration. Once you complete that registration, then you'll go to this website, log in again, and then you'll submit. And then you should be registered as a vendor. You'll fill out this form. And if you have any issues with this, y'all will have my contact information. You can send me an email and I'll help walk you through it. But I actually can't go through the system because I'm an employee. But I have a lot of screenshots and some other resources if you do have questions. So once we receive your vendor numbers, which you can do that before we start reading, you can go ahead and set up this process. I suggest that you go ahead and set up your vendor number before we start the process. And then as soon as you finish reading all of the RFAs, I would say no later than October 20th, when you go through the last process, send me your invoice. And I have a template for the invoice that I will send you, and it's linked on this PowerPoint also. And it'll just say that you read, grants from October to October 2023, because it's going to be a short process. And how many you read, your payment amount, you'll verify your payment amount, I'll verify it, and then another person will verify it also. So just be making sure that when we're communicating through email, that you're actually checking your email on a regular basis, so that we don't miss an email and there's a lapse in payment processing. Because in Alabama, our fiscal year ends September 30th. And so October 1, we'll be starting a new fiscal year. And so it'll be kind of a rush to make it happen on our end. So.
Thank you, Erica. We appreciate you, and we greatly appreciate you handling the payment of everything. So just an overview, we will email you the PowerPoint and the rubric separate. The rubric is included in your first email. It was the back and 3 or 4 pages of the RFA, so you can look at that rubric. What we would like for you to do between now and when you receive the applications is please go in and check your eGap account. Make sure you have everything you need. You can log in, you can get there, everything's good to go. If you cannot, please email me. My information's on the screen right there. And then please check, as Erica said, the OBBI system so that you can get paid. And if something in that system is not working, please email Erica. We want to let you know that Alabama appreciates your time and your commitment to our youth and to our state. You're very important in this process and all the thousands of children that will be served through this grant. So let us know if you have any questions. And again, we appreciate your time today. Have a good afternoon.
Erica, just